So most agencies think that retention is about doing great work and delivering on time. That's a part of it. I think that's really just the baseline. And it's not what actually creates loyalty and raving fans. The truth is that clients who stick around for the longest often do so because it's how they feel about working with you or working with your agency. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to go beyond the deliverables and intentionally build a client relationship that surprises, delights, and has thoughtful moments that sets your agency apart. These are the things that don't show up in the scope of work. This is what is going to make the difference, though, in how clients ultimately see you and perceive you. So the reality is that us as a species, we are predominantly a very emotionally based creature. And as Maya Angelou has said, people will not remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And that's not what you ultimately delivered. So what you delivered is what you did, but how you went about it, all the things that happened around it, is how you made them feel. Did you make them feel seen? Did you make them feel heard? Did you make them feel appreciated? Did you see them as a human? Were you friendly? Or did you bring a smile? Did you make them feel really welcomed? And great work ultimately is expected. But it's the connection, it's the relationship that you build is what is that creates true loyalty. And I see this happen time and time and time again. The agencies that do this in the most meaningful way are the ones that are building true relationship. And surprising and delighting your clients is what is going to make them feel seen, appreciated, and valued. And you need to be really thoughtful about this because this doesn't just happen accidentally. It's not only a cultural piece, but it is how you train your team. It is the intentionality behind how you go about bringing clients on. It is how you go about building relationship throughout the entire journey that you have with your clients. And if you're not thinking about it in that meaningful way, it ultimately is going to create a challenge for you from a retention perspective. It is going to create a challenge for you for the referrals that you're going to get. And interestingly, the people that I work with and so many agency owners that I come across are some of the most ethical, moral, friendly, lovely human beings I have ever met. And I know that likely if you're listening to this, I imagine that as an extension of my experience in this industry, that is also true for you as well. The thing that I see happen, however, is that intentionality, that loveliness, that great human being that you are doesn't end up shining through when you're really truly busy, when you are not being able to actually lift your head above water and you are in the thick of it. And in those moments is when you end up losing clients. And there's so frequently, what I end up hearing and seeing so often is that as the agency owner starts to extract themselves from client relationships, their team ends up losing those relationships, or it ends up forcing the agency owner to be sucked back into the client relationship in order to actually save the account. And that's not the life that I want for you listening to this episode. It's not the life that I want for any client. Frankly, I'm not sure that I wish that life on anyone, that they are constantly being pulled into areas that they don't want to be. I'm not saying that you don't want to be around your clients, but as you try to extract yourself from different pieces of your life to allow for you to be able to have space, freedom, all those things, and then you're not able to actually do it, it creates a challenging problem. And so one of the things that I'm thinking about, and it's an agency owner client that I know listens to this podcast. So if you're hearing this story and it's you, I hope that you recognize it. But this particular agency owner, his team has built, and I see in watching testimonial videos and seeing the way that they build relationships with some of their accounts are just truly phenomenal. They become really friendly, really meaningful relationships that they have with their clients. It's truly amazing to see how close they end up becoming and the amount of intentionality. And so this work that you end up building, that this client ends up building with the client, it ends up actually in a lot of instances becoming award-winning work. And I find it so interesting because as they talk about their clients being and the work that they produce being award-winning, and that's something that they strive to be. The interesting thing is that the most often when I see and when I hear about the awards that they end up winning, the awards that they won are with people that they really enjoyed being around. Because the reality is that when we are having fun, when we are excited, especially creatives, you're able to actually give a piece of yourself. Because the reality is that in creative work, your soul is being poured into a piece of what it is that you do, and why there's this huge attachment to a lot of what it is that you do. And for better or worse, there is that attachment, and I will argue against some components of it. But the reality is that connection that you have with your clients is truly meaningful. And the closer that you become, the more that your clients feel that way as well about you, is how you're going to build the most meaningful relationships. And those relationships that you see built are ones that last for years and years and years and years. you end up being a truly trusted advocate for them because you actually truly care. And so what I'm asking in this episode is for you to start to show that care, that admiration that you have for your clients, that connection, that true connection that you have, the amount of care and love that you end up having for the outcomes that you have for them. I want that to actually shine through in the experience that you craft and build for them. And so here's the thing. I want you to be thoughtful and not generic. And so I end up having this debate with so many clients, and this comes up specifically around the holidays. And so I'm hoping that at this point, you don't actually have things planned yet. And what I want you to be thinking about is, rather than sending this branded material or this very generic oriented gift that you're sending out for the holidays, if you're going to send something out like that, frankly, my opinion is don't send anything at all, because it's not truly meaningful. It ends up just being this random thing that someone gets that they probably don't care a whole lot about, and they have it branded. So it's not really useful, and it doesn't actually end up being a gift. It ends up being a piece of marketing material for your client. That isn't actually something that's personal and matters at all. And so here's the thing. If you were to do something that's a bit more personal, a gift that actually means something even throughout the year, it doesn't even need to be for the holiday, but something small, something personal that is really truly meaningful to them, right? So like, as an example, you know that this client has a chocoholic as an example. So one of the things that I've done is, while living in Paris, I ended up buying some chocolate from a famous chef, Alain Ducasse, and then sent out some gifts to people that I really know enjoyed chocolate. I had a little handwritten note inside of it about a meal that I had at Alain Ducasse's flagship restaurant in Paris, and all that sort of thing. And I was writing it out and sending it out to them. And it was actually truly meaningful to that specific person, to, someone that I know is an audiophile, and and they have loads of different headphones inside their office, and they have them hung up. I had one made specifically for them to, little things of, hey, I know that you are really stressed out right now, a lot of things that are going on in the office. So sending them a little spa day to allow for them to rejuvenate themselves. Or another example, someone moving to a city that they had never lived before, that they had never even visited, and buying a house, which, as the control freak that I am, very out of my character to do something like that, and good on him for being able to be that person that I am not. I bought a printout from a friend of mine's company, actually had it framed and sent to him at his new home right as he was arriving, that was of the city he was moving to. And so there's little things that you can do that's really personal to this person, that shows that you see them as a person, see them as a human being. Then as you start to develop more of a relationship, you can do things that are little inside jokes, interests of theirs, milestones in their business, to, champagne bottles when they hit goals, to things like that are just truly meaningful, and make it really specific, make it really important to that person. So it could be a book on a topic that they care about, a book that you read that reminded you of them, that you end up having a bookmark inside of it with a note as to why it reminded you of them. Branded little funny phrases on things from a call that you can send on a mug that goes to them, local snacks from your city or a city that they grew up in that they no longer live in, and mention that they missed having that specific thing. And one of the things that you can do that allows for this to be able to be done is being able to actually have these list of preferences, ideas for each person. The reality is that you can be really human and personal and purposeful in what it is that you're doing, but doing it in a systematic way. So gifting, and maybe this is just me, but it is something that I really truly enjoy doing when it comes to people that I have in my life, not just clients, but friends as well, is giving them something that I see and it reminds me of them. I'm not a big gift giver of feeling out of obligation. I'm a person that gives gifts only when I see it really having a personal meaning to that person, and that's when I send something. And it could be a birthday, it could be a random day, it could be anything. But also things like also celebrating special occasions, work anniversaries, birthdays, people that are within the organization that they're having their work anniversary, company milestones, big personal events. They just had a baby. So like, as an example, a client of mine, she had just had a child. And one of the things that happens, women in childbirth and all the things that they have to go through, having gone through the event of childbirth in their bodies, and then having to be there and not sleep and all the things immediately afterwards, huge thing. And most of the time gifts are for the baby. And so what I ended up doing is I sent this little care basket for them with a gift card for them to be able to go, and spoke with the husband to have him actually go and make sure that she had the space to do so. And so like these little things that you can do that just recognize this person. And it could be a simple call. It could be a handwritten note. It could be a shout out, that just shows that you're paying attention to them. A reminder of like, hey, I know your anniversary's coming up. Like, what do you have planned? Hey, I know your birthday's coming up. Are you doing anything fun? Clients don't really expect it because so many instances, especially in the modern world, so many people end up feeling that these relationships at work are so transactional. But the reality is that it shouldn't be. And I just don't see people that way personally. And it makes such an impact on what it is that you do when you're able to, one, have fun with the people that you're around, but also recognize them for the humans that they are. So I want you to think about the power of these little nice surprises, delivering something that is extra or unexpected. And it could be, a bonus piece of insight in a report. It could be a video walkthrough that they didn't ask for because you know that it's something that confuses them. It could be something that we've already taken care of this already because I know that you were really stressed out. And so we just wanted to do this to help you out. Aim to surprise, be really truly generous. Sometimes they just need a little extra speed or a little bit of extra attentiveness. These moments to build emotional equity in the relationship, it allows for you to be able to get through some of the tough things later. Because the reality, and this is now speaking purely from a business practical perspective, is that when people will forgive all sorts of things of people that they really care about, the amount of things in my personal life, the friends and family that I've forgiven things that they have done because of the relationship I have with them is true, I'm sure, for you as well. And not saying that I'm wanting you to do these little surprise and delight things with clients so that they forgive a mistake that you make in the future. Again, I'm not hoping for it to be transactional, but it does allow for that space. Hey, you're running a little bit late on something and you're wanting to get an okay from them. They're more likely to feel okay with it. They're more likely to not be upset at it. But if they don't have a meaningful relationship and it is purely a transactional relationship, yeah, they're going to be bothered because that's what they're paying for. And this little bit of relationship reciprocity can go a huge way. But I think it's important that this is something that is repeatable, but it isn't robotic. So I want you to build something simple, an SOP around this. So maybe there's a frequency by which you're sending gifts typically for people. There's a calendar that you have, celebrate the dates that you want to actually log of what do you have for this specific person when they're born, a work anniversary, a wedding anniversary or whatever that they currently have a date of one of their kids' birthdays, that sort of stuff. And let your team own pieces of it. One of the things that I have shared with so many clients is actually every single meeting, the reality, and I hope this is true, the reality is for most calls that you have with people, you end up getting a little piece of personal information about them. And that little personal piece of information that you get about them, you're able to log it, save it, so that when you're sitting trying to come up with what it is that you're going to send as a little thoughtful thing to send to them for their birthday or for whatever, you have this information to rely upon to be able to create it. But also leave some space and room for some spontaneity of you just feel that you want to send something to this person. And the goal is to be consistently thoughtful, not overly systemized, and not so robotic that it just feels like every year on this day you do this one thing, but it should be have some variability to it. So my hope for you from this episode is that realize that retention doesn't only come from the results that you drive. Obviously, results are very important. The deliverables are very important, but I feel like those are very table stakes and just baseline at this point. You are expected to be great at what you do, the same that I'm expected to be great at what I do. And if clients don't want to stick around, a lot of it is because of the relationship you have with them. If you delight them, if you surprise them, if you have them feel seen and heard, show them that they matter beyond the payment that they're making to you. And this isn't about spending tons of money. This is about paying attention to them. When you treat your clients like people, not just like accounts that are paying you money, it builds loyalty that no competitor, no price undercut is ever going to be able to compete with the relationship that you have. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening in today. With all of the shifts in the industry, it is easy to feel overwhelmed or unsure of your next move. So I'm not here to try to sell you anything. I just want to give back and guide you through the uncertainty. Whether you're navigating new trends or just need some clarity, we're here to listen and offer advice. Head to creativeagencysuccess.com/chat to book a free 15-minute chat with an agency mentor who can provide you with a fresh perspective. Let's figure out the best steps for your agency's growth together.